welcome to the Ultimate Sports Blog Podcast. Today is Tuesday, January 15th, 2019. Today I'm going to recap yesterday's college basketball, NBA, and NHL games, look ahead to tonight's games in each of those three sports, discuss the Australian Open on both the men's and the women's sides, and I'll give out my best bet of the day. All right, let's start in college basketball. There was a monster upset last night. I'm actually going to start with that. Syracuse upsets number one Duke 95-91 in overtime. Excellent win for Jim Boeheim's team. They're 12-5 on the year. Duke drops to 14-2. First home loss of the year for Duke, and this is the first time Duke, as the number one team in the nation, dropped a home game against an unranked team. Tyus Battle had 32 points for the Orange. Elijah Hughes hit a 3/4 of the court buzzer beater that ended the first half. If it wasn't for that, maybe Duke wins the game. That game would have been different. I think that really was a swing moment in the game, even though Duke was up by 7 in the second half at one point. But what a fantastic win for Jim Boeheim and Syracuse. If they make the tournament, you're going to be pointing at this win and saying, yeah, that win did it for them. Number 7, Kansas defeats Texas 80-78. Big win for Kansas. They improved to 15-2. Texas drops to 10-7. Pitt upsets number 11 Florida State 75-62. Great win for Pitt. They're 12-5. Florida State's 13-4. Pitt's a sneaky candidate to get into the tournament now, in my opinion. Number 19 Maryland defeats Wisconsin 64-60. Wisconsin had a 24-6 run to tie the game at one point, and then Maryland wins by 4. They're 15-3. Wisconsin drops to 11-6. Nebraska upsets number 25 Indiana 66-51. Great win for Nebraska. They're 13-4. Indiana is 12-5. Monmouth defeats Siena 63-60 in overtime. Monmouth is 4-14. Siena is 6-11. Bucknell defeats Holy Cross 93-78. Bucknell's 10-7. Holy Cross is 11-7. NC Central defeats Delaware State 71-70. NC Central 8-9, and Delaware State is 3-14. South Carolina State defeats Coppin State 70-68. South Carolina State is 4-15. Coppin State's 2-17. North Carolina A&T defeats Maryland Eastern 67-58. NC-A&T is 8-9, and UMass is 2-17. Norfolk State defeats Bethune-Cookman 75-68. Norfolk State is 9-10. Bethune-Cookman is 6-11. Grambling defeats Alcorn State 77-42. Grambling is 8-9. Alcorn State is 4-12. Alabama State defeats Mississippi Valley State 81-79 in overtime. Alabama State is 5-10, and Mississippi Valley State is 3-14. Jackson State defeats Southern 64-58. Jackson State is 6-11. Southern is 1-16. Arkansas Pine Bluff defeats Alabama A&M 50-49. UAPB is 6-10, and Alabama A&M is 2-16. Northern Colorado defeats Montana State 73-70. Northern Colorado is 11-6. Montana State is 7-9. Baylor defeats Oklahoma State 73-69. Baylor is 10-6. Oklahoma State is 8-9. And Brown defeats Johnson-Vales, Rhode Island 100-61 as Brown improves to 12-4 and is looking like the surprise team in the Ivy League this year. Tonight's slate at 6:30 on Fox Sports 1, you have Seton Hall at Providence. Providence is a 1.5 favorite. I'm taking Providence to win and cover the point spread. They need the game more than Seton Hall does. 7 o'clock on ESPN2, you have Arkansas at number 3, Tennessee. Tennessee's favored by 14.5. I think they win, and I think they cover too. 7 o'clock on ESPN, you have number 12, Kentucky against Georgia. Kentucky's an 8-point favorite. I think they win, and they cover. Number 16, Buffalo's at Western Michigan. I think Buffalo wins and covers the 13. 7 o'clock on the SEC Network is Florida at number 24, Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State wins and covers the 4.5. Southern Illinois is at Illinois State on CBS Sports Network. Big game in the Mountain Valley. I think Illinois State gets it at home. West Virginia at TCU. 7 o'clock on ESPNU. West Virginia's 8-8. They need this game badly. They're winless in conference play. They lost at home to Oklahoma State. This just doesn't feel like their year. Sagaba Kanate's hurt. TCU also can use this win. They're 12-3. TCU's a 6-point favorite. I'm going to say TCU wins, but West Virginia covers. West Virginia's covered in a couple of their Big 12 games so far. And by the way, the Illinois State, Southern Illinois State's only a 1-point favorite, and I obviously think they cover that. Eastern Michigan at Akron, Kent State at Ohio, South Florida at Cincinnati on ESPN News at 7 o'clock. Cincinnati's a whopping 13-point favorite. I think they win, but South Florida covers the number because South Florida isn't a bad team. They're ahead of schedule. They are a super dark horse to make the tournament as an at-large bid. And they've been competitive in a lot of their games, and they're taking advantage of underachieving teams in the conference at home, like UConn. So give me Cincinnati to win, but South Florida covers the big number at 13. 7 o'clock on the Big Ten Network, you have Rutgers at Purdue. This is a big game for Purdue. I think they win and cover the 14.5. Miami at Toledo. I should say Miami of Ohio. Ball State at Bowling Green. St. Louis at Fordham. That's a big game in the Atlantic 10. St. Louis is in play for an at-large. I think they win this game, but I think Fordham covers the 7.5. Fordham's been a cover machine. 7:30 of Morgan State at Howard. 8 o'clock on the ACC Network. Number 9, Virginia Tech at number 4, Virginia. Virginia's a 7.5-point favorite. Virginia's been throttling teams left and right. I think they win, and they cover the 7.5. Number 17, NC State's at Wake Forest on the ACC Network at 8 o'clock as well. NC State's a 9-point favorite. I think they win, but Wake Forest covers the 9 points. Valparaiso at Loyola Chicago is a big game in the Mountain Valley. Loyola is a 9-point favorite. I think they win, but Valpo covers. Central Michigan at Northern Illinois. Central Michigan quietly 13-3 on the year, and they're a 5-point dog at Northern Illinois. I think Central Michigan's going to win that game outright. They're the better team right now. Number 15, Marquette's at Georgetown, 8:30 on Fox Sports 1. Marquette's a 2-point favorite. Georgetown's been sneakily good. They should have beaten St. John's a few weeks ago on that Saturday. I think Georgetown wins this game outright. They're a 2-point home dog, and that'd be a big win for Patrick Ewing in that program. 9 o'clock on the CBS Sports Network, number 10, Nevada at Boise State. I think Nevada wins and covers the 8. 9 o'clock on ESPN, you have Notre Dame at number 13, North Carolina. Carolina's minus 13. I expect a big bounce-back performance here after that debacle of a loss against Louisville, so give me North Carolina the win and cover the 13. LSU number 18, Ole Miss, 9 o'clock on the SEC Network. Ole Miss has been the surprise team in college basketball, 13-2 on the year. They're favored by 3.5 against LSU. I think they win and cover, and they right now are the better team than LSU. And Davidson at St. Joseph's at 9 o'clock on ESPNU in the 8-10. Davidson is a 4.5-point favorite. I think they win and cover. And 11 o'clock on the CBS Sports Network, you have New Mexico at San Diego State in the Mountain West Conference. And I think San Diego State wins, but New Mexico covers. NBA. Some interesting results last night. The Nets defeat the Celtics 109-102. Celtics did not have a couple of their key players. Brooklyn is 22-23. Boston drops to 25-18. D'Angelo Russell is a breakout player. You can make a case for an all-star berth for him in the Eastern Conference. 34 points and 7 assists in that win. Jared Allen and Rodions Carusis each had 19. Joe Harris had 13. And off the bench, DeMare Carroll had 10. Jason Tatum had 34 points very quietly in that loss for the Celtics. And the Celtics made that game interesting late, but Brooklyn held on. Jaylen Brown had 22 off the bench with 13 points. Brad Wanamaker. The Rockets defeat the Grizzlies 112-94 as Houston improves to 25-18. Memphis is 19-24. James Harden has to be the MVP favorite right now. Another outstanding game. 57 points and 9 boards, 6 3-pointers. Daniel House Jr. had 15. Austin Rivers had 11. And off the bench, Gerald Green had 14. Mike Conley and Garrett Temple each had 14. Jaren Jackson Jr. had 12. Off the bench, Omar Caspi had 12, and Sheldon Mack had 10. The Hornets defeat the Spurs 108-93 in Tony Parker's return to San Antonio. Charlotte's 20-23. That's a big win for them, and San Antonio drops to 25-20. Kemba Walker led the way, 33 points. Jeremy Lamb had 19. Marvin Williams had 11. Tony Parker in his return game had 8 points. Shot 4 for 12 from the field. He comes off the bench for Charlotte. LaMarcus Aldridge had 28. DeMar DeRozan had 14. Derek White had 18. And Patty Mills off the bench had 14. The Jazz defeat the Pistons 100-94. Utah goes to 24-21. Detroit drops to 18-24. Donovan Mitchell, 28 points. Rudy Gobert had 18 with 25 boards. Joe Ingles had 13. Derek Favors had 10. Kyle Korver had 19 off the bench. Blake Griffin had 19. Andre Drummond had 15 with 13 boards. Reggie Jackson had 11. Reggie Bullock had 13. And off the bench, Luke Kennard had 10. The Kings defeat the Trailblazers 115-107. Sacramento 23-21. Portland 26-19. Buddy Hield had 19 with 7 boards. De'Aaron Fox had 16 with 9 assists. Willie Cauley-Stein had 12 with 8 boards. Off the bench, Marvin Bagley had 13 with 11 boards. Harry Giles had 12, and Bojan Bogdanovic had 18. Damian Lillard had 35. Alfred Aminu and Jake Layman each had 13. CJ McCollum only had 6. Myers Leonard had 11 off the bench, and Evan Turner had 14 off the bench. And Mo Harkless sat out again for Portland. The Pelicans defeat the Clippers 121-117. Huge win for New Orleans. They're 21-23. Clippers are 24-19. Anthony Davis, 46 points, 16 boards, 4 assists. Julius Randle, 27 points, 6 boards, and 5 assists. Elfrid Payton had 11 with 6 assists. Had 6 boards and 3 assists. Drew Holiday had 19 with 8 assists and 5 boards. Bench didn't do anything. Tobias Harris had 21. Danilo Gallinari had 25. Montrezl Harrell had 26 with 10 boards off the bench. Lou Williams off the bench, 18 points and 5 boards. Tonight's slate, at 7 o'clock, you have the Suns at the Pacers. NBA TV, the Timberwolves at the 76ers, so Jimmy Butler against his former team. 7:30, the Thunder at the Hawks. 8 o'clock, the Heat at the Bucks. 9 o'clock, the Warriors at the Nuggets. And at 10:30, the Bulls at the Lakers on NBA TV. So that should be interesting. NHL. 6-game slate last night. The Avalanche defeat the Maple Leafs 6-3. Good win for Colorado. They are 21-17-8. Toronto's 28-15-2. Number 1 star of the game with the hat trick, Carl Soderberg. The number 2 star of the game with the goal, Gabriel Landeskog. And the number 3 star of the game with 2 assists, Austin Matthews. The Devils defeat the Blackhawks 8-5. How about that score? The Devils go to 18-20-7. Chicago drops to 16-23-9. Number 1 star of the game with 2 goals, Kyle Palmieri. Number 2 star of the game with 2 goals and an assist, Blake Coleman. And the number 3 star of the game with 2 goals and 2 assists, Patrick Kane. The Flyers defeat the Wild 7-4. Big win for Philly as they improve to 17-23-6. Minnesota drops to 22-20-3. Number 1 star of the game with 2 goals and 2 assists, Nolan Patrick. Number 2 star of the game with 3 goals, James Van Riemsdyk. And the number 3 star of the game with 2 goals, Wayne Simmons. The Blues defeat the Capitals 4-1. Good win for St. Louis. They're 3 points back in the playoffs now. They are 20-20-4 in the year. Washington drops to 27-13-5. Number 1 star of the game with 28 saves on 29 shots, Jake Allen. Number 2 star of the game with a goal and assist, Vladimir Tarasenko. Number 3 star of the game with a goal and an assist, Vince Dunn. The Canadiens defeat the Bruins 3-2 in overtime. The Canadiens go to 25-17-5. Boston drops to 26-15-5. Number 1 star of the game with 41 saves on 43 shots, Carey Price. Number 2 star of the game with a goal, David Krejci. The number 3 star of the game with a goal and assist, Brad Marchand. The Oilers defeat the Sabres 7-2. Big win for Edmonton. They are 22-21-3. Buffalo's 23-17-6. Number 1 started the game with 2 goals, Zach Kazian. Number 2 started the game with 2 goals, Milan Lucic. And the number 3 started the game with 41 saves on 43 shots, Mikko Koskinen. Tonight's games, we have a bigger slate tonight. 7 o'clock, the Hurricanes at the Rangers, the Blues at the Islanders, the Devils at the Blue Jackets, 7:30, the Panthers at the Canadiens, the Ducks at the Red Wings. 8 o'clock, the Capitals at the Predators. On NBCSN, you have the Kings at the Wild. The Minnesota Wild are on the second of a back-to-back, but they absolutely have to have this game, so give me Minnesota in a close one over the struggling Kings. The Golden Knights at the Jets, 8:30, the Lightning at the Stars, and at 10 o'clock, the Penguins at the Sharks. We'll start with the women's first in the Australia Open. We are going to go through the results, and then we'll look ahead to tonight's matchups and predict winners. Johanna Konta defeats Ajla Tomljic. Wang Qiang defeats Fiona Ferro. Wang, obviously, the 21 seed. Anastasia Padovova defeats Pauline Parmentier. Alexandra Krunik defeats Zarina Dias. 12-seeded Elise Mertens defeats Anna Carolina Shmeldova. 7-seeded Carolina Pliskova defeats Carolina Muchova. 17-seeded Madison Keys defeats Destiny Aeva. 16-seeded Serena Williams defeats Tatiana Maria. 13-seeded Anastasia Stavosta defeats Mona Barthel. Eugenie Bouchard defeats Peng Suhai. 18-seeded Gabrine Muguruza defeats Zhang Saisei. Tamara Zinasek defeats Daria Gavriola. Madison Brengel defeats Miskay Doi. Timea Baskinski upsets number 10-seeded Daria Kaskina. Bianca Andreescu defeats Whitney Osawugi. Natalia Vishkolesva defeats Varvara Lepchenko. Laura Siegman defeats Victoria Azarenka. 27-seeded Kamila Georgi defeats Dalia Japokic. Number 28-seeded Hishi Sui defeats Stephanie Vogelli. Venus Williams defeats 25-seeded Minalea Buzarenko. Margarita Gasparyarin defeats Zhu Lin. Carla Suarez Navarro defeats Clara Burrell. Victoria Kuzmova defeats Katerina Kozlova. Carolina Pliskova defeats Anna Blinkova. Now we're into the overnight portion that went from midnight to like about 5:30 in the morning Eastern time. Elise Cornet defeats Laura Abarena. 6-seeded Alina Svitolina defeats Victoria Golubic. Iga Swiatek defeats Anna Bogdan. Diana Yastremka defeats Samantha Stoster. Sophia Kenin defeats Veronika Kudermetova. Zhang Suai upsets number 26-seeded Dominika Sibulikova. Number 1 seed Simona Halep defeats Kaya Kanepi. And number 4 seed Naomi Osaka defeats Magda Linette. Now I'm going to make picks for round 2 for the women's, which begins tonight. You have Zoe Hives against number 19-seeded Caroline Garcia, giving Garcia to advance. You have Marketa Vondrousova against number 31-seeded Petra Marchik, giving Marchik to advance. You have number 9 seeded Kiki Bertens against Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova. Give me Bertens to advance. And then you have the 20 seed Annette Kontaveit against Alexandra Sasnovich. Give me Kontaveit to advance. 5 seeded Solane Stevens against Tamea Babos. Give me Stevens there. Ashley Barty, your 15 seed against Wang Yafan. Give me Barty there. Danielle Rose Collins against Sasha Vickery. Give me Vickery to advance. Astra Sharma against Maria Sakari. Give me Sakari to advance. Number 29 seed Donna Vekic against Kimberly Burrell. Give me Vekic. 24 seeded Lesia Sarenko against Amanda Anisimova. Give me Sarenko there. Joanna Larson against number 3 seeded Caroline Wozniacki. Give me Wozniacki to advance. You have Katie Boulder against number 11 seed Ariana Sabalenka. Give me Sabalenka to advance. Now we're into the overnight portion from the midnight matches until the 5:30 a.m. matches. Belinda Bencic against Yulia Pantaseva. Give me Bencic. Number 8 seed Petra Kvitova against Irina Camelia Begu. Give me Kvitova there. Beatrice Haddad Maia against number 2 seed Angelique Kerber. Give me Kerber to advance. And number 30 seeded Maria Sharapova against Rebecca Peterson. Give me Sharapova to advance. Now we'll move on to the men's and go over the results from the men's last night. And then we'll pick tonight's matches for the men's side of things. Pierre Hughes Herbert defeats Sam Querrey. Number 12 seeded Fabio Fognini against Joame Menard. Fognini won that one. Martin Fazovitz defeats Albert Ramos Vinolas. 15 seeded Daniil Medvedev defeats Layla Harris. Leonardo Mayer defeats Nicholas Jarry. Ivo Karvelik defeats Hubert Hurkacz. Ryan Harrison defeated Jiri Valesi. Ilya Ivashka defeated Malik Jaziri. 8 seeded Kenya Shorky defeated Kamil Marajek. 11 seeded Borna Korčić defeats Steve Darcic. 24 seeded Chung Hyung defeated Bradley Klon. Joao Sosa defeated Guido Pela. 23 seeded Pablo Carreno Busta defeated Luca Vanni. Alex Bolt defeated Jack Sock. Evgeny Dosonki defeated Laszlo Dejer. 29 seeded Giles Simone defeated Bjorn Fratangelo. 4 seeded Alexander Zverev defeated Alijas Badeni. 21 seeded David Goffin defeated Christian Garin. 25 seeded Denis Shapovalov defeated Pablo Andujar. 28 seeded Lucas Polali defeated Mikhail Kushkukin. Taro Daniel defeated Tasani Kokianis. Marius Gopil defeated Marcel Granollers. 32 seeded Philip Kohlschreiber defeated Zay Lee. Jeremy Chardy defeated Hugo Humbert. Philip Kranjanic upsetted number 17 seeded Marco Ciachanto. And then your overnights from midnight on to 5:30 in the morning. On the men's side of things, Joe Wilfred Soonga defeated Martin Kilzon. Alexei Paprian defeated Misha Zverev. Stan Wawrinka defeated Ernest Gulbis. Maximilian Martyrer defeated Gleb Sharakov. Novak Djokovic, your 1 seed, defeated Mitchell Kruger. Number 16 seeded Milos Rajancic defeated Nick Kyrgios. 7 seeded Dominic Thiem defeated Benoit Pierre. And then starting at 7 o'clock Eastern time tonight, you have Dennis Kudla against 18 seeded Diego Schwartzman in round 2. Give me Schwartzman there. Stefano Travaglia and Nicolas Basilashvili. Give me Basilashvili there. He's your 19 seed. 14 seeded Stefano Tsitsipas against Victor Troicki. Give me Tsitsipas. Jordan Thompson against Andrea Seppi. Give me Seppi in that match. Tomas Berdych against Robin Haas. Give me Haas. 5-seeded Kevin Anderson against Francis Tiafoe. Give me Kevin Anderson. 6-seeded Marine Cilic against Mackenzie McDonald. Give me Cilic there. Radu Albot against Fernando Verdasco. Give me Verdasco. He's your 26th seed. Dan Evans against number 3 seed Roger Federer. Give me Federer. Gail Monfils against Taylor Fritz. Give me Monfils. He's your 30 seed. And Thomas Fabiano against Riley Opelka. Give me Fabiano there. And your overnight matches, you have 22-seeded Roberto Bautista Agut against John Millman. Give me Bautista Agut there. Yoshihito Nikusoka against Karen Khachanov. Khachanov's your 10th seed. I think he will advance. Grigov Dimitrov against Pablo Cuevas. Give me Dimitrov. He's your 20 seed. 27-seeded Alex de Minaur against Henry Lasokin. Give me de Minaur to advance. And last but not least, 2-seeded Rafael Nadal against Matthew Edbden. Give me Nadal to advance. And that's it for Tennis Talk for today. I'm going to do my best bet before we go. Brought to you by DraftKings. An 8-teamer. 4 college basketball, 3 NBA, and 1 hockey. Tennessee, Buffalo, Cincinnati, North Carolina. In college basketball, the Indiana Pacers, the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the Milwaukee Bucks. And in the NHL, the Columbus Blue Jackets. That is plus 277. Wagering $2 to win a payout of $7.53. That's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping everything in the world of sports. And I'll do some NFL talk, including my latest mock draft. I hope you guys have a great day, everybody.